It's been a while. I haven't really posted on YouTube for quite some time, and with this whole Calamity situation, I thought I'll make a video on it just to keep you guys informed on what's going on within the community and what's gonna happen with me as well. This video is gonna be entirely unscripted. It's just me telling you from my perspective and from what I've heard from other people what's going on. Calamity Mod was a huge part of my life, and I'm very grateful to have played it. We'll get into it. This is all gonna be to the best of my knowledge. I was not there in the Calamity community during most of the time where the first parts of this were going down. I've heard this from people who were there, who have their own opinions on it, or people who knew the developers or were in the team themselves, and they know what happened. They could be lying. This could be misinformation. Let me know. I don't know everything for sure. I could be misinterpreting everything in this. Take it with a grain of salt. This is what I know. They're not facts. None of this can really be facts since most of it's opinion and experience based, but bear with me. It was kind of known from the start that Fabol was a weirdo. He was known to be in NSFW servers, specifically around furry arts and a lot of other things that I cannot mention on here. Then comes 2025. Fabol made a Twitter post regarding not wanting trans women in women's bathrooms. Once Fabol made this Twitter post regarding trans people, I'll put it here. He made this Twitter post and someone replied with this post here. Now that got the community kind of riled up and people started to dig more into it. They found more information showing that Fabol was just a weirdo interacting with these minors and showing them inappropriate things that they obviously should not be looking at. And so he was thrown out of his position. After being thrown out, the devs collectively made a decision to put Osatron in charge, not knowing that he was actually Fabol's right-hand man when it came to this server. That got pretty much swept under the rug for quite some time. So how did Osatron actually come to get exposed? So basically, Osatron had this Discord server called Wormhell. It's pretty much a rule in that server for everyone to keep it quiet. Do not tell anyone about it. Whatever is said in Wormhell stays in Wormhell. There was a point where the server did get ratted out and the people went crazy. They had to start banning people just in case it was them who ratted out the server, as they took it very seriously that the server got exposed. And they started inviting a lot of people back in. You would think that now that they made this new rule that says everyone has to be over 18, that there would be no more minors in the server. There were people who were known to be minors that Osatron himself asked to be let back in. He asked if people were okay with it and then invited them back into the server. These people were as young as like 15. This server was kept very down low until... This is kind of brief. I don't know everything about this. Fans wanted to create a Yaram add-on for Calamity Mod, and they contacted Osatron himself about it. Allegedly, Osatron threatened legal action to these fans because these fans wanted to release an add-on mod that would have Yaram included as a fight. Osatron himself wanted Yaram to be the very last thing he ever adds to the mod. He himself mentioned that he wanted Calamity Mod to outlive Terraria, and so he would refuse to add Yaram into the game as he wanted to drag it out and keep it hyped for as long as possible. And so after these people suggested that they wanted to have an add-on where they would include Yaram's fight, he threatened legal action against them. They then decided that the best form of retaliation for this would be to find dirt on Osatron and expose him. This led them back to the Fabol situation, where they then found that Osatron was actually a part of it the whole time, and this is then when the Osatron files dropped on Reddit and people went crazy. Of course, a lot of the devs, this was their first time finding out that Osatron was in all of this. A lot of them knew about Fabol, but they didn't know Osatron was involved. The devs then made a post in their Discord server to announce that they are now ceasing all development of Calamity Mod. It was said that a lot of developers and artists have asked for their assets to be removed, however it may be impossible due to how many there are, and that the best way to fulfill everyone's requests is to just cease the development of the mod. They did mention that add-ons for the mod will be able to stay, and that they can be re-uploaded as they are not legally binded to the mod. One thing they did mention was that Osatron had several bounties that he has not paid out yet. I didn't explain this very well at the time, so I'm just here to voice over it and like redo it. Basically, the Calamity devs had a bounty system, pretty much just if Osatron asked someone to create something for the mod, they would get paid for it later. Now, since everything got exposed and devs started leaving, they don't have access to any funds to get paid. So ultimately, with their bounties being unfulfilled, they made the decision to just cease their development and get their sprites or anything they added to the mod removed. These developers did not deserve this at all. They put years of their life into this mod, and Osatron has pretty much just ghosted the developers and not paid out their bounties. They mentioned that they have been trying to get in contact with him, however, with this whole situation, they don't think he will even bother. It just kind of sucks because I feel like for a lot of people, Calamity's been a huge part of our lives, and now the developers all have to kind of cease what's happened because of one guy who just couldn't help but talk to some minors. And as a development team, you'd feel betrayed because this is not the first time that it's happened, especially with Fabol in the past and his actions being pretty much exactly the same to Osatron. To the time of recording, we still have not heard anything from Osatron, but what's gonna happen in the future? One thing that happened is that XQC, that big streamer, actually offered to buy up the mod. It's not really a surprise that the development team said no. XQC doesn't know anything about Calamity Mod, and I don't think he's actually finished Terraria itself. Of course, the community is still as big as ever, and everyone is super sad about this happening. Me personally though, I am pretty heartbroken. I mean, I found this game during like high school where I didn't have a whole lot of friends and I didn't really have a whole lot to look forward to in my life. And so just being able to come home and play this game was just the best. It was so good, and I'm really happy to have been able to enjoy it up until this time. A lot of the developers have their own personal projects as well that I think people should look into to support, as they deserve support outside of Calamity Mod. I'm not too sure on what's gonna actually happen to the mod, whether it's gonna stay up and everything will stay in it, or if assets are getting completely removed. I just want to say that please do not harass the developers who don't want to have their work in the mod anymore. Of course, a lot of the developers would not want XQC to buy it out, as XQC doesn't know anything and they want to move on to their own projects. There's nothing wrong with that. They do not have to be tied to this mod forever. There were a lot of victims affected by this, and it's important to support them. My heart is with them and the developers who lost a lot of work that they dedicated a lot of time to. I'll always continue making videos, whether that's about Terraria or other games that I enjoy, so there is no worries that I'm hoping to make more YouTube videos, so hopefully this isn't too sad and I'm able to make something out of it. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported me during all of my Calamity runs, where I did my Infernum run and I was just doing my Masochist Death Mode run. However, I'm not sure what's gonna happen with that. To be fair, we're up to the mutant. We got up to the mutant, so we'll see what happens with that. But thank you guys for watching me this whole time and supporting me through this mod, and I'm glad we all got to enjoy it together. But yeah, if there's anything that I missed, please let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one.